Ah, yes. Sitting around the fire after a long, hard day of bashing in skulls and breaking down doors. What do you do when you have nothing else to do? Well, if you're like me, you run over to the inn and hopefully find a bunch of other people like yourself to have a good time with, drink a little alcohol, but there's nobody here. Fortunately, in Gloria Victis, you have the ability to play this dice game. You also have the ability to wager on the dice game and make coin. And more importantly, winning these dice games will give you a buff, which I will show at the end of the video. So here are the rules. It's essentially poker. I imagine most of you are familiar with poker. Dice poker, I suppose you can call it. You take turns, and the goal is to fill out every one of those lines at the top left. So based on your roll, you choose on each turn which, if any of those, you want to fill out. When you roll the dice, you can select a number of dice to throw away, and then you roll the remaining. You can do that twice. As you can see, I'm going to do it a second time. Alrighty. So my turn is over. Now it's the innkeeper's turn. You'll see I filled out the small straight, which gave me a particular amount of points. Wow. I'm not sure I would have done that if I were him, but so there is some strategy involved, and of course a little bit of luck. All right. So far, so good for me. As I said, there is luck involved. Now, you have to plan because you can only do each category once. Let's see. So I could do 3 6s, for example, or I could do 2 6s and get less if I'm doing only 6s. Now here, I could have done 5 6s, but I chose instead to do the one that's dedicated for that, called the General, I believe. So, concept is pretty simple. It's a fun little thing you can do versus other players or the NPC Innkeeper, and you can wage varying amounts of gold, or coin I should say. The amount you wager against the Innkeeper is capped pretty low, but the amount against players is higher. The thing that makes this interesting excuse me, is the buff I mentioned. You get a 1% buff to multiple forms of. You get a loot chance buff and an experience buff, and you get those for each game you win. Now, they don't need to be consecutive, so you could just keep playing. If you see that you're not going to win, you end the game, and then you just keep starting again. So you could brute force this to get, plus 5%, plus 10%, so on. I'm not sure what the cap is on this. I haven't tested that. Something I will do if there's another test. But if you're min-maxing, and there are a lot of sources of buffs in the game, with consumables and open world events and so on, this is something that you may not want to ignore. Again, especially given that you can just do this at any location on the map that has an inn, and if you're careful, securing a win is pretty easy. And if you wish, you could just speed run this with very low amounts of coin. So if you lose, you abandon the match and it's no problem. Or you could actually use this to make coin as well. Now, I suppose there are other games that have these kinds of board or dice or card mini games in them. Gwent is a classic example. But this is something that's been in GV for a long time, and it is really quite fun once you get the hang of it. In the history of the game, there are some pretty notorious gamblers, people who are good at this and who are always looking for opponents to take money from. If you play enough, you will come to know these people, and if you're smart, you will avoid them. But in terms of just farming the buff, you can play casual games with other players and wager low amounts of coin, or play against the NPC, the Innkeeper. It's visually, pretty cool, I think. Has a nice feel to it. Okay, let's see, actually. Oh, I have my 3 of a kind there. So, of course, if you had 3 of a kind, you'd want 3 6s, 4 of a kind, 4 6s, etc. You have to be mindful of what your hand can be used for out of what you have left. And you have to be careful not to make mistakes and waste points, essentially. Some of these are easier to get than others. So you can see the things in black are the things that I could turn it in for. So I kept the 2 1s. Basically just getting the 1s out of the way, regardless of how many I get. Yeah, I don't really have much options here. So I only scored 2 for the 1s, but my max possible score with the 1s would have been 5. Or did I not turn it in? But yeah, you get the basic idea. This is a fun activity to do while you're waiting. If you're, say, prepping for a siege. I suppose you could even do this during a siege. But mainly you'll see this happen in the capital, in your nation's starting city. Okay, let's see. I have a chance here. Let's go for the 4s. Okay. All right. That's 12. Not the best, but there are bonuses as well. Completing what are called schools at the top will give you a bonus. Depending on how close the match is, that can make a big difference. Full house. I have seen the Innkeeper make some strange choices. You'll see that a bit later as well. I'm not really sure why that is the case. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. That was my straight. It's a large straight. Like I said, I really like the way it sounds. The audio was well done. Reminds me of many hours spent playing backgammon, if you're familiar with that game. Okay, slowly filling out all my slots. He's one one or two behind me. There is a timer as well, and you can give up at any point by clicking end game. Okay, so there's the 12 fours. Previously I had done 3 of a kind with the fours. Interesting choice on their part, but looks like it paid off. They have yet to do their 6s. Okay. So you'll see the most recent completion or option that they chose is got a box around it, both for yourself and for the opponent for the last turn. A lot of 6s. Oh man. I got 3 left. He's got 4 left. And I'm going first, so we should be good. I imagine they could add other games, other mini games. You know, if you've played the game, the mount taming and fishing have a mini game. In a way, resource nodes are a mini game. You know, you can just interact with the node and harvest it at a steady pace, but if you hit the node with an equipped tool of the right type, you will do more damage, so it takes less time. So there's a benefit to that. And there could be other opportunities. In a way, putting out fires is also a mini game. Okay, I have 2 left. I need 4 of a kind. Wow, he got lucky there. And I need my 1s. 4 of a kind and 1s. Keep the 2 5s. Yeah. And hope we get 2 more. There's 1 more. One more 5. Bingo. That's not bad. Now all we need is to roll a 1. Doesn't matter what else we get. We don't really care about the score because it's the lowest. Differential isn't really a factor here. Just need to complete it. 264 to 214. Let's see if I can finish it out on this turn. Nope. Okay, we're gonna toss all those. Try again. There we go. We could roll again, but it doesn't really matter. And they get a chance here. There's really nothing that would allow them to catch up and score. It's just a formality. You do get it though. You get the 3 4s. Okay, so victory. Closer game than I thought it would be. Now if you notice at the top left, you see a little dice symbol, Gambler's Luck. Experience buff, bonus looting chance. And you can stack that. Now the duration is short, so you'd have to win pretty quickly. There's pretty much a limit to how much of that you can get, but for min-maxers, it's probably worth doing. And the game is fun. Well, huzzah, we won. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video.